This is something that happened to me back in my early 20s. Now, back then at the time, I was dating a girl, and we were at the point in our relationship where we were going to start living together. And she had a roommate, and it was a person she worked with. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, I guess he didn't like her, even though they worked together, they seemed to get along okay. And, so I'm home one day and she calls me up. She says, Rob, you have to come over. I'm really freaking out right now. Jay moved all his stuff out. What's the guy's name? Moved all his stuff out. He's gone, but there's something really, really scary here. So please just come over. So I said, all right. So I went over and we go into his room, and his room's cleaned out. He cleaned everything out, didn't leave a mess. But when we walked into the room, in the center of the room was a Molotov cocktail just sitting there. It wasn't lit. It was just sitting in the middle. And we're looking at it like, what the fuck is this? So, and I kind of like slowly approach it because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't know if this has a trigger.
Yeah, I mean, that's random.
And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to take it and throw it out. She's like, no, don't touch it. I'm like, all right, why don't you give me like a towel or something? I don't know if there's something on here that's flammable or whatever, just to be safe. So she grabs me a towel, I grab it, everything's fine. So we turn around to walk out the room, and behind the door, he drew a pentagram. So now this is the start of the story. Okay. This is the beginning. This is the opening. True story. So I looked at my girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, all right, did you know anything about this? Cause he hadn't been living there long, and apparently he wasn't very sociable. He never had guests, but he was fine at work. Like, he was a completely different person, she used to tell me. So, and apparently, like I said, he didn't like her because when he moved out, he changed the answering machine message and said, if you're looking for so-and-so, I'm not living here anymore. Thank God. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. That's how she knew him. That's why when she got home, and so I threw out the Molotov cocktail and we cleaned up the pentagram off the door, and that's it. And shortly thereafter, I moved in and everything seemed fine. So Halloween came about a month later. And at this time, me and my girlfriend at the time, we all used to get together with some friends of ours, hang out. So a guy that I was buddies with, his name was Anthony at the time, and I don't talk to him anymore, but he was really into ghosts, and he wanted to do a Ouija board. And I laughed. I said, look, if you guys want to do Ouija board, that's cool. I'm just going to watch. I'm not into that stuff. Like, cause at the time I didn't believe in this. I was not a believer. I thought it was a bunch of crock of shit. And I had done Ouija board before. I had done the whole, one that they sell at Toys R Us. So I thought it was a bunch of crap. But he bought a Ouija board from a store in, the village in the city. And when he bought it over, he took it out, and this thing, I mean, look, if Ouija boards scare you, that's fine, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. This thing was crafted to beauty. It was a beautiful Ouija board, the way it was crafted. And it had like wood, and it had the carvings. It was gorgeous, so nothing else. It was a very beautiful board. So now another friend of mine is named Damien, and, a bunch of guys, or I should say ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time and my ex-girlfriend. Yes, I got down like that. They were both there. That's how Rob used to get down. Yes, everyone got along. I'm a very peaceful person. And her friend, there was a bunch of people there. Let's just put it like that way. I sat out. Another friend of mine sat out because we're just going to watch it. We were drinking, and we're not going to. So they're doing the Ouija, and this is Halloween night, by the way. This is Halloween night. So they're sitting there, they're doing the Ouija board, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, all right, who's moving it? Who's moving what? So finally, as they're about 45 minutes into it, and I wasn't even paying attention to what they were saying, because I'm over here like, yeah, whatever. But they were speaking out what the thing was saying. And at one point it said, why is the person in the red shirt not with you? And we looked around, and I'm wearing a red shirt. I'm the only one wearing a red shirt.
You're singled out.
I'm singled out by the ghost. And my first thought was, these guys are fucking with me. So I said, okay, I'll get involved since you guys want to play like that, because I know the minute I touch this thing, I'm going to be able to tell who's moving it. So we get in there. So go back to the conversation, and I'm noticing, I said to myself, wow, it doesn't feel like anyone's moving it. This thing feels like it's gliding. And so I knew right away, I'm like, okay, there might be some legitimacy to this. So the first thing is we're starting to ask questions, and apparently we got into talking to this little boy. And maybe it's funny because you mentioned your story about the little boy, and this one starts over the little boy as well. And I don't remember his name now, and probably for a good reason, but he kept talking about, he died during the Civil War. This is one of the things he told us, that, during the Civil War, there were a lot of people who left that abandoned their obligation, their military obligation. They went and pillaged and raided. So apparently this kid was a victim of that. So that's one of the stories he told us. And it was actually a very interesting but eerie conversation.